okay, so with this friend of mine who has been married 41 years and is getting divorced, so her husband got a lawyer and paid for it. And the hard part, I think, with her is that she got married at 19. She's very naive. She called me because I had been divorced, and so she wanted to understand how to do this and did not listen.
So did she get a lawyer?
No, because I told her to get a lawyer and she didn't get a lawyer. And I even gave her a name of one in Minnesota and she didn't do it. So because they had this lawyer, so she doesn't understand the concept. And doesn't want to because she wants Christ to come again, the second coming to happen, so that she doesn't have to be divorced. Because that was just never in her vocabulary, never in her world. And she even waited till her husband said, I want a divorce. And she said, fine, he can say it. I'm not saying it. And so here we go months later. And I think he was equally as naive because he didn't realize that she stayed home all these years. And now he has to pay for her until she is 67 and can retire and get Social Security. And so I think when he realized that, because he thought he was just going to walk away, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. Men just think, oh, this is going to be so easy. We'll just get rid of her and it'll be great. Well, as most men will tell you, it's cheaper to keep her. Mm-hmm. And yes, that's exactly what's happening here. And what were you going to say?
So you said she was sitting here just waiting for her money to start coming in.
Yeah. The divorce has not happened yet. None of the paperwork has been filed or anything like that, but she expects money to show up because they said that's what he was going to do. But it's like, no, that has to go to court to be enforced. He's not just going to magically send you money until the court pressures him for that.
And she's how old now?
63.
So he's just going to wait 4 years.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
Until she's 67, so then he doesn't have to pay her.
Yeah, yeah. So why bother going through with the divorce? And well,
and she's got 3 choices here.
Yeah,
she can either get
a lawyer.
Yeah, get a lawyer.
Yeah.
And get this taken care of.
Yeah.
Stay married to him.
Right.
And let him cheat her.
Yep.
Or hire a hitman.
Yeah.
And then she can be a widow and she doesn't have to worry about being divorced.
That's always a good one. And so there were times, I know many years back, where she said that he went on vacation by himself. And I said, well, is there another woman? And she said, oh, no. You know, again, our naivete that we have. And
but didn't you say he had women before her?
Yeah. He had been promiscuous, earlier in his life, as a lot of men are, and she was a virgin, and they got married. And
so is this guy a Christian?
He's a preacher.
What? Boy, is he going to have a lot to answer for.
Yes, he will, for a long period of years. Absolutely. And so the sooner she forgives him, the sooner God can get on with it, because that is a crime. That's an absolute crime in biblical sense. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, if you can breathe again.
Does he read the Bible?
I have no idea.
I mean,
I don't know. I didn't.
Yeah.
The only weird thing was when she first got married to him. We were all in the sanctuary, just the few of us, big sanctuary, empty. And he came over to me and introduced himself. Yeah, he was her husband. And I said, well, she and I are best friends and we're a lot alike, but I'm a little lower keyed, which was true. And he said, well, maybe I married the wrong one.
As if you'd have him.
I know. I always thought that was odd. It's always stuck with me. I really don't know what to say about that. I asked her, and she said, well, that's just the way he was.
It sounds like he's one of those guys that became a preacher so he could be like in that elevated position.
Oh, that's right.
I am someone.
Yes, and I know everything, and women tend to emulate men who are on stage in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. So
you think maybe he became a preacher to get girls?
Maybe. I don't know. When my little brothers went to college, and I said, can you guys they were going to Bible college, and I said, can you guys kind of get to know girls in groups? Because they said, well, we're dedicated to God. We are not going to, run around with girls. Okay. But how do you know what kind of girl you like? Blonde or brunette or what? No, we're dedicated to God. Okay. So they finally, go through internship, become pastors, and Lance goes to a church and he calls me up and he says, you weren't kidding. We should have been paying attention because all the mothers in the church wanted him to date their daughters.
Yes.
And he was inundated. He actually ended up marrying one of them, and it's been perfect.
Their daughters to be a preacher's wife.
Yes. That's what my parents wanted too. They wanted me to marry a missionary or a minister, and I married a musician. It was an M word. It's close enough, I guess, for me. But that was the plan, and it kind of turned and changed. And
it's weird because it's like, I look back at the past. I don't know that my parents even had any kind of idea of what kind of person I should marry, because I felt so like I don't have any idea. And I was so down on myself. The first guy who actually said nice things to me and stuff, I went with that, and that was a mistake.
Yeah.
But,
no, I definitely ran into that too, and we were. I think you were relatively sheltered, like I was too, and protected from everything, which is, I don't know how safe that really is, but
well, and looking back, I just remember when I was maybe 6 or 7 years old, they were talking about my brother's life insurance policy that they had for him. And I said, oh, do I have one too? They said, no, because you'll get married and your husband will take care of you.
oh Lord.
Well, look at me now. I'm not married. I don't have a husband. And when I did, he didn't take care of me either.
Anything.
So,
It's
I was
awful.
thinking just this morning, I'm so glad I don't have a man in my life. And, there was a time I wanted that man to lean on in the hard times and stuff, and I had this romantic idealistic view of love and everything, and I was so naive. And then now I used to say nowadays a man would only be useful to me for a paycheck, but I don't even say that anymore, because when I had men in my life, I didn't get any money out of that. It was all me paying for everything. So I'm like, I became cold towards men, and I'm independent. I do stuff for myself. I don't need a man to fix things. I can fix things.
Yeah, you probably do it better than most.
So I'm just done.
Yeah, no, it is hard. It's a lot of work. That's something I've actually learned from some of my relatives who are now older and wiser, hopefully, and have learned that they didn't look at life quite the same way or correct way when they were younger, and they kind of screwed up. Now that they look back and realize, oh, I guess I didn't communicate. I guess I didn't try very hard. I guess they just didn't think that marriage was work. They couldn't understand the concept. It was supposed to be real easy. Yeah. It's just two people coming together doing what they usually do, and you just happen to be married.
Well, it could be easy if people didn't have expectations for each other.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, that and among other things. There's just, and personality is a lot to do with it too. If you don't get along with that other person, personality wise, oh, he's so attractive, but he's a jerk.
Yeah. Then what do you do? I think that, like you said, there's the baggage that comes in with you, whether you realize it or not. I was reading, and we're going to get into that too, that for 2 years you have that euphoric love. Oh, yeah. And that's why people, I think, break up after 2 years, because the euphoria it does go away. It will go away. It just is a fact. And so people keep going from person to person to person because they like the euphoria of that love.
And we were talking about the Hollywood stars, because they're in a movie together, and everything's scripted that they say to each other, but they fall for it in real life. And they're like, and then they get married, and then the reality is so much different than what they expected. they divorce,
Yeah.
they go to the next movie, oh, I'm so in love, and they
Yes,
get married,
yes.
and then the same thing happens. So,
and when you're touching people and you're kissing them, you are sharing spirits. You are sharing yourself with that person, and you tend to get connected in a spiritual way that you don't realize. So I'll have to give the actors who, from the past, I think some of them maybe they weren't faithful, but they certainly were married for 50, 60, 70 years to the same woman, regardless of who they were kissing on the screen, or if they were even. I got to go back and
Kenny
figure out.
Rogers used to say he refused to kiss a woman on screen because he didn't want that to
Connection.
affect his
his
connection.
relationship. Yeah, and there's another guy too, and I can't think of his name right off. I mean, we majored in she and I are actors, and so my husband is always telling me I'm not going to kiss anybody because that actor doesn't either. But he does go around murdering everybody. I'm not entirely sure how to take that.
In real life?
No.
Oh, in the movie. Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
I know Kirk Cameron said the same thing, that he wouldn't kiss.
No, it
someone
wasn't
after.
him. Okay, so it was Neil McDonough.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The guy from
And-
Captain America.
Yes, yeah, right, and several other movies where they're killing everybody all the time, and murdering them, and it's but he doesn't kiss anybody, thank God. So I guess that solves that problem. But anyway, that's the thing. But you're right; they get involved. They get involved when they do that. They do very much.
Well,
Absolutely.
and that's happened to a lot of. Well, look at Liz Taylor. How many times was she married? I mean, yeah. So
Yeah. So there you have it.